Ravens fans, I am once again asking you to subscribe to Ravens Rundown if you want more free videos all season and off-season long. We're trying to catch our Browns channel and then eventually our Steelers channel here at Chat Sports. So if you want more free videos, it's very simple. Hit that big red button and subscribe right now. The NFL trade deadline is over. You can't trade for players anymore. But you can still make your team better, especially if you're a contender, by going out and looking at some potential free agent targets. And oh, by the way, you can put them on your practice squad for a little bit as well. A little bit easier this year to add some notable names as the season enters November and December. First up on my Ravens free agent targets list is Mitchell Schwartz. He is a top-tier right tackle when healthy. And I think the big reason why he remains unsigned despite a lack of good tackle talent and really offensive line talent in the NFL is because of that health. That is a big-time red flag for Schwartz. He missed a good portion of last year, and all of this year so far due to a back injury. Off-season surgery to correct it in February, late February, I believe, and I don't know if he's healthy. He might not ever be healthy again, but it is worth calling, checking, and just seeing how he's doing. Because even last year, when he wasn't 100% and his PFF run grade was surprisingly low, he still fared pretty darn well. So Schwartz is not necessarily the guy he was at his prime. But given all of the Ravens' injuries on the offensive line, with Ronnie Stanley out for the year, with Juwan James not a factor to begin with anyway, with Patrick McCarry, who was kind of your super swing offensive lineman, now banged up as well, and a guy you'd rather play at guard, per the Ravens themselves, as opposed to tackle and Tyree Phillips, now the likely right tackle starter, I think, this upcoming week if McCarry can't go. Ooh, boy, it's thin. Yeah, you brought in Cedric Ogbuehi. Cool, I get that. He probably will at some point make it to the active roster. He's on the practice squad right now. Villanueva was supposed to be your right tackle. Now he's your left. If I were the Ravens, why not pick up the phone and say, hey, Mitchell, how's your back doing? Do you need some help? Or are you good? How close are you to being able to play? Because if he's even close to his even 2020 form, that guy's worth rostering, even if he's not quite peak Mitchell Schwartz anymore. So I got another offensive lineman coming up in a second. But first, I want to hear from you guys. Should the Ravens add yet another offensive lineman, even beyond Cedric Ogbuehi? This is the pinned comment on today's video. So if that ad break comes right now on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down to the pinned comment and type Y for yes, they should, N for no, they should not. We looked at a right tackle in Schwartz, now a left tackle in Russell Okung, who, I will be honest, I am a bit surprised that he remains unsigned. He was a starter last year for Carolina before he got hurt and spent much of his NFL career as a starting caliber offensive lineman in the NFL. And I think a big reason, allegedly, why he remains unsigned is that he wanted too much in free agency. Now, last year, you see some similar-ish numbers to what we had from Mitchell Schwartz. A little bit higher PFF run grade, higher sacks, though. I think the decline had begun to set in for Russell Okung, but I think the decline has set in for Alejandro Villanueva as well, and he's still out there being able to contribute and be a good NFL player. And if you want to move Villanueva back to right, which I'm actually not sure you should want to do, I think he's better on that left side, Okung is the top left tackle out there. Now, we spent our first two players focused in on the offensive line. I got more names coming. But I want you guys to kind of do my job for me, at least have some fun back and forth here. Name a free agent who you want the Baltimore Ravens. I did not put Deshaun Jackson on this list. I don't think they need a receiver. Maybe you disagree. That's just one name. Let me know what you have to say down there in the comments. To defense now, Jaylon Smith, the linebacker, who I think we have to acknowledge what Jaylon Smith is. Yes, he is a big-time name-ish for an off-ball linebacker. Yeah, he's had a lot of tackles in recent years. Two different playoff contenders have said, nah, we don't want him anymore. Cowboys cut him, ate a bunch of money. The Packers cut him and said, yeah, we've seen enough in like 2 games. That's noteworthy. Smith does not offer any real special teams value. He does not bring that at this stage in his NFL career. He's been the vet life guy, is in his own words right there. 19 tackles this year. He's not good in coverage, and he doesn't move nearly as well side to side as he did even early on in his NFL career. Since 2018, he's regressed pretty steeply. He's a great example of why tackle numbers don't necessarily mean that much. Yes, you are around the football. Cool, you helped make the assisted tackle. He gets beat in coverage. He can blitz a little bit, but he's not elite in that area. I do think he'd be a decent scheme fit in the Ravens' defensive style, but he's guessing way too much on the film, and he gets himself out of position too much. What's interesting for the Ravens is the usage of Josh Bynes. And Josh Bynes taking over, I think is actually, or taking over as the other off-ball linebacker, has benefited Patrick Queen. Now, I'll make note, Jaylon on your practice squad is not a bad thing. That's actually, I think, pretty valuable for a team like the Ravens, just in case you get hit by even more injuries. So, all these players, the likely outcome is signed to practice squad first, then the active roster. If they end up impressing, just making the note of that right now. I'll also double remind you guys to subscribe to Ravens Rundown. We're inching closer to our Browns channel. Still got a long way to go. So, if you want free videos, go subscribe. It's a meritocracy here at Chat Sports. If we have more subscribers, we catch our Browns channel, prioritize the Ravens over the Browns. Right now, them in Pittsburgh get the priority. But if you guys subscribe, that changes sooner rather than later. To cornerback, now I was going to put Vernon Hargreaves on this list, but then turns out that he got claimed by the Green Bay, or not by the Packers, by the Cincinnati Bengals. Talking about the Packers, because Dunbar spent some time on the Packers practice squad and the Cardinals practice squad this year, but he's already been cut by both of them. Now, he showed promise, as he had for much of his career, at the beginning of the 2020 season. The Seahawks traded for him, and it's like, okay, this guy's going to be pretty good. Then he got hurt, and then he missed some games, came back, and his final 3 games for Seattle, terrible. And his numbers end up looking really bad in only a 6-game sample size last year for his coverage stats, all per Pro Football Reference. The Dunbar production, it dipped, and I am very concerned that he's never going to find his old form. And maybe the Packers and Cardinals already tried this and the Ravens shouldn't bother. But, look, they've been hit hard by injuries at corner. Now, Chris Westry appears to be close-ish to coming back. That's a good news there. You see Marcus Peters has been out, though. Amon Marshall, Khalil Dorsey, whatever. They're thin at the cornerback spot. Anthony Averett wasn't supposed to be a starter this year for Baltimore. He's been pressed into duty in the end. You can make a real argument that corner is one of the bigger needs right now for this Baltimore Ravens team. And I want you to make an argument for one of those positions. What is the biggest need right now for the Baltimore Ravens? Is it corner, defensive line, receiver, running back? Let's talk about one right now here, but let me know what you think in the comments section. Todd Gurley is our next player here, and this is a name that's been linked to Baltimore plenty in the past. He was brought in by the Ravens in the offseason for a visit, and the team said thanks but no thanks. And I think I know the reason why Todd Gurley remains unsigned. He's washed. I'm sorry. The Ravens signed the likes of Devonta Freeman and Lev Bell over him. Todd Gurley last year began the year pretty decently, but in the back half of the season, he couldn't run. He averaged 3.5 yards per carry. Todd Gurley, folks, has been averaging under 4 yards per carry for 2 years now. And last season for Gurley, he started the year pretty solidly, wasn't doing too bad, 121 yards in week 5. Then came week 10, didn't play. Week 11 didn't play. Week 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Ready for this? 26 yards, 16 yards, 19 yards, -1 yards, 16 yards, 18 yards. He was terrible. He looked absolutely gassed. Now, he's always had a great nose for the end zone, but I think he's cooked. And I don't even like Devonta Freeman or Lev Bell all that much for the Ravens, but they picked those two guys over Todd Gurley. So he's a big-time name. I don't really know how much Bell has left in the tank, so maybe they try to revisit Gurley. I still think running back would be a great option for the Ravens, but there's nobody out there. There's nobody worth going out and saying, yes, this fixes our running back issue, unless somebody new ends up getting cut. So with all that in mind, what is your confidence level right now in this Ravens group of running backs? Use your scale you see on screen, 1 to 10. 1 being next to no confidence, 10 being Tom, you're crazy. It's the best backs in the NFL. And oh, by the way, Lamar Jackson does not count for this conversation. Let's go to Kawann Short. Back to defense here. A nice 50-50 split. Again, it's not a great group of players out there on the defensive market. Short has battled injuries in recent years, and he's no longer the Pro Bowl defensive lineman. But you know what? You can kick the tires, see what he's got left in the tank, say, maybe he does bring us this. Maybe we can add him as a low-end rotation piece that ends up helping us out in the end. The buyer beware with Kawann Short is this. 6 games the past 2 seasons, 7 tackles, 1 TFL, 4 quarterback hits, pretty darn good, 0 sacks. My fear here, and I think it's why he's unsigned, that's part of the conversation, right, is, well, if someone's available in November, why are they unsigned? I think Short's injuries have really caught up to him. Now, you could put him on the practice squad, call him up for 1 or 2 games, see how it goes, and I know Derek Wolfe's going to come back soon, but let's be honest, I kind of think we're seeing the end of the road for Brandon Williams and Justin Ellis to an extent. I like Justin Madubuike long-term, same with Brandon Washington, but the depth is at least a bit of a red flag. So maybe you just bring him in for a workout and you say, yeah, you know what, this guy, he's pretty much cooked, and that's fine, but that's somebody you could look at if you were Baltimore.